Yeah, I mean, we've just been playing well. They came up buzzing and had a power play, and they had a lot of shots, but they always shoot the puck. It feels like from everywhere, so no panic, and got back in the game. Kale got us going for sure.
Nathan MacKinnon coming off of a 4-point night up to 29 retakes the league's lead from Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild as the Avs beat the Beast of the East, the Carolina Hurricanes, who were 10-2 coming into this game. 6-4 is the final with an empty netter from Mikko Rantanen from about 195 feet away. But MacKinnon, 1 goal, 3 assists in the second period, an absolute onslaught from Colorado after weathering the storm, for lack of a better term, in the first period. Colorado with 5 goals in that second period. A defenseman factored in on every single one of those 5 goals en route to a 6-4 victory. Welcome into Between the Pipes, presented by Safeway. We're live on X, on Twitch, on YouTube as well. I'm Alex Ryanemi alongside Mark Springer. Join in the comment section all evening long. Without a doubt, the Avs' best win of the season so far, Spring.
Yeah, we were calling for them to steal one, quote unquote, just because they're down so many dudes, just like the Nuggets did on Wednesday against the Thunder. And the Avs did their part. Back-to-back ball arena performances, back-to-back undermanned teams beating very good teams, upper tier teams who were pretty healthy. So the Avs did it just in time because, man, I thought, was there a chance Jonathan Drouin could have played tonight?
I was
kind of hoping he would. I thought, man, if Drouin plays tonight, like that might be what puts him over the top. But even without him playing, 5 goals in the second period. Nathan MacKinnon had a great night. Cale Makar with the first shorthanded goal of his career, I believe. And I think that was the first shorthanded goal for the Avs. No, that's not. Someone on Twitter got that wrong. Avs Muse got that wrong because Connor, I'm now saying, scored the last 2 shorthanded goals. He tweeted out that Makar scored the last 2 shorthanded goals for the Avs. Nonetheless, I think that's the first shorthanded goal of the season. Man, that was a rocket. Just wind up and fire that thing. Cale wears the big hat tonight because he sparked him. And you know what else sparked him, Raj, was Shanny. If you were watching the broadcast on Altitude TV tonight, so a cancer survivor named Shannon, I believe her name was Shannon, but Mosier kept calling her Shanny, and she joins the broadcast. Makar scores, Malinsky scores, sweet hands by Malinsky too on that goal off the rebound from MacKinnon. Shanny, this one was for Shanny tonight. I loved how many times Mosier said Shanny in that sequence. Rycroft joined in and was calling her Shanny. They tried to get Shanny to give her analysis of what was happening, but she is not a professional broadcaster and didn't accept the tee-ups. But Shanny gets 2 goals scored while she was on the broadcast. And the Avs, man, that's a great win on Hockey Fights Cancer Night, and it's a great win in general. I shudder to think what this team is going to look like when everyone's back.
Yeah, this is, I wouldn't say it's a season-defining win, but it's certainly a benchmark win for them at this point, knowing how well you played in Winnipeg. And they played a dominant third period, if not a great full game in Winnipeg against the best team in the Western Conference right now. And to have that be a 1-0 loss and not turn around against a red-hot Carolina team. And again, Carolina is a perennial Eastern Conference contender. Do I believe in them? I don't, because they don't have the guy. Spring, you and I have been saying that for it feels like 5 seasons now, that like I never want to play Carolina, but I also don't think they're serious cup contenders because they don't have the guy to bring them over the edge, right? Like, who's the best player on Carolina tonight? Was it Jacob Slavin? It could have been, but was it like on the offensive side? It was Martinook. Like, that guy's going to get you to a cup final? No. What you saw tonight was the difference was, well, the horses. You had elite play from Nathan MacKinnon, a gorgeous goal that he scores on the 2-on-1, and just freezes Shane Gostisbehere, freezes him in the middle of the ice on the 2-on-1 with Mikko Rantanen. Cale Makar, as you mentioned, like, is a line rush clapper ever going to get old? It's like the coolest thing ever.
No, and he beats Spencer Martin. And that's another Former Av, Spencer Martin. That's another thing about tonight. I wasn't sure who was going to start in goal for Carolina. We knew the better part of today that Georgiev was going to get the nod for Colorado. I thought maybe Kochetkov, who has a good record this season, would get the nod, but no, due to some, the rotational strategy for Carolina, they ended up going with Spencer Martin out of nowhere tonight. And man, you got to break. He's a guy who you can break the dam on. And so Makar sparks some. McKinnon sets up Malinsky. And then Nathan McKinnon shrugging off Sean Walker, former Av, in the neutral zone, and then getting ahead of steam towards Spencer Martin. That is game, set, match.
Yeah.
It is a massive mismatch. If you're Spencer Martin and you have Nathan McKinnon in space near you, you are beat. And Nathan McKinnon beat him. That made it 3-2 Avs. It was a little wonky the rest of the way, but just a storm. Just a freaking storm. It was led by Nathan McKinnon overall. And Mikko Rantanen, he gets a power play goal. I think it was on the power play. Yes, it was. He does it by himself, essentially, as that thing's winding down. Just has an opportunity on the right side. It's another, Carolina's a great team, but, we talk about them. You talked about it, Raj. Mikko Rantanen would be the best player.
Without a doubt. And it wouldn't be close. Mikko would be Carolina's best performer, best goal scorer, best point producer, and it wouldn't be close. It's not to say that I don't like the Carolina Hurricanes roster. I think they've got a great team there. I love watching Sebastian Aho play. I think Andrei Svechnikov, for what he is a very entertaining player. Brent Burns is still putting up 25 minutes a night, which is nuts at his age. Jacob Slavin's arguably the best defensive defenseman in the National Hockey League. I'm not saying that they don't have good players. What I'm saying is that they don't have the guy. And the guy showed up 3 times in 3 different uniform numbers tonight for the Avalanche. They don't have just Mikko. They have Mikko Rantanen going short side on a power play after a beautiful 5-on-3 zipping the puck around. That shot is unstoppable. I don't care who's in the net. That's a short side rip from a guy who's a 50-goal scorer in this league and a back-to-back 100-point producer. He did that. That's a guy. That is one of your horses. McKinnon sets up a beautiful goal, and then, as you said, walks off Sean Walker, freezes the hell out of Shane Gostisbehere, and then goes short side on a shot that, the puck came out of the net before Spencer Martin's blocker side reacted to the shot. That's another one of your horses that Carolina doesn't have. And I haven't even mentioned Cale Makar scoring a shorthanded goal and arguably being the best player on the ice despite not just having 1 point this evening. That's the difference. Carolina is very good. Colorado, when healthy and when their guys play like that, that's the difference between an elite hockey team and a cup contender. You saw it tonight. And the cup contender wasn't even healthy.
Arturi Lehkonen got his second goal of the year, and he went Peyton Watson. Arturi Lehkonen goes Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson missed those 2 free throws against the Thunder, but then gets the game-winning swat on SGA. So Lehkonen gets a centering pass, and it looks like, he's got a wide-open cage, and he puts it just wide. That's a one-time little push-in that Arturi scores 9 times out of 10. There was the 1 out of 10. He just sends it wide, but no worry. The Avs regather the puck. I think it's Mikko Rantanen who shoots it from the point, and Lehkonen tips it in. Reviewed for goaltender interference, possibly on Nathan McKinnon, though. A good call.
I would have lost my shit had they pulled that back.
And Rycroft and Mosher were talking about it on the broadcast, and I can't remember which game, but there's a recent game where they reviewed goaltender interference, and they were basing it off of, the explanation they got on that one and applying that to this one. They were thinking, well, maybe it doesn't matter that McKinnon was pushed. And push or no push, there is zero effect on Spencer Martin. Lehkonen tips that in either way. But they were thinking, hey, this might get overturned. No, it stood, further proving that we have no idea what goaltender interference truly
Never
is.
will.
But much like Peyton Watson, Lehkonen makes up for it. He ends up making the play at the end of the sequence that is needed. So Lehkonen, man, the 5-man power play unit, and it was cooking when Ross Colton was in. It's going to cook when Valeri Nichushkin is in, and then I don't know who you take out. When Nichushkin is back, who do you take off of PP1? Is it Lehkonen or is it Middlestat? Right now, the dirtiest 5-man unit in the league, certainly power play, is Makar with McKinnon, Rantanen, Lehkonen, Middlestat. It's damn near unstoppable. It was damn near unstoppable when Colton was in for Lehkonen. Who comes out when Nichushkin is back?
I think it's Casey Middlestat has to come out because I think he can lead that second unit. Pants on Twitch says the same thing. Casey, he's a great second unit leader, 100%. I think he's the guy that, especially if you want to have a player to distribute pucks on that second unit, Casey Middlestat's your guy. Like he is a distributor. Lehkonen's a distributor as well, but he's not nearly as good as Middlestat is in terms of finding small areas from that bumper position. So I would move Middlestat out. I would put Nichushkin in because he's such a dynamic net front presence, and you are missing a little bit of that right now in the power play unit, despite it being running at a torrid pace right now. I would move Casey off, and I would make your 5-man unit Makar, Rantanen, McKinnon, Nichushkin, and who's my 5th guy? Who am I missing? Lecky. That's your 5-man unit.
On your first unit. Okay, yeah.
That's your first unit, and then your second unit can be Drouin, Middlestat, Colton, Landeskog when healthy, Taves.
You could also go 2 defensemen. You could go Taves, Girard. I know you love that.
Girard was great tonight. I loved watching Sam Girard tonight.
Yeah, Girard had a very good game. And we haven't – look, Sam Malinsky, man, we've talked a lot. I've talked a lot about Ivan and Nikolai Kovalenko. We got to look at Sam Malinsky last year. Liked what we saw a lot. He's like a baby Cale Makar out there, and he's played very well of late. That is silk. Like you see Sean Walker on the other side, right? They bring him in at the trade deadline last year. They don't really have a need for him. It's Sam Malinsky time. I think that was the plan all along. With Sean Walker, you're never going to be back. Malinsky is a younger, that offensive leaning, puck moving defenseman like Sean Walker was that. The Avs have a bevy of them, Makar, Girard. Malinsky's another. And those hands to take that rebound and go backhand top shelf for a young defenseman, and I believe he was a forward converted defenseman, and it shows. But he can make money in this league, if he is that brand of defenseman. Your Kevin Shattenkirks of the world. Sam Malinsky has that potential.
What a pull! What a pull!
If Sam Malinsky goes on to have a Shattenkirk career, you take that all day.
I would completely agree with you. Yeah, he was when he was in high school, I believe that Malinsky played a lot of forward, and then when he got to Cornell, they transitioned him over to defense when he was with the Big Red out there. He's been great. I think he got screwed on the Jack Drury goal because I didn't love the play from Ludwig behind the net. He had an opportunity to make a hard play on his forehand on the strong side corner, and he decided to go behind his back to what he thought was a soft area when 2 Hurricanes players were forechecking. And Carolina forechecks better than most teams in the league. And I think you saw that tonight. That was the one play that I guess you could look at Malinsky and say, yeah, he was on the ice. His guy got open. I thought his partner didn't do him any great services there. Again, it's a phenomenal win for this team to find a way to beat the best team in the Eastern Conference by a score of 6-4. Let's hear from the head coach, Spring.
Jared, it felt like Cale's goal just snapped you guys out of it.
Yeah, for sure. It helped. That's a huge goal, especially because it was, we were killing the penalty, and I didn't love our penalty kill tonight. Like, we got caught in between a lot. They scored, they had some good looks, and then they scored on the rush attack. We were getting beat to the back door of the net in the first period. Not just penalty kill, but 5-on-5 as well. They like to attack the net hard. But that one kind of jump-started a really good second period for us. Yeah, I thought our second period was outstanding. I mean, we relentless with their pursuit of the puck, creating turnovers, creating scoring chances. Then it was a pretty even third, but got to give Gorgie credit for first period. I mean, he keeps us in the game at down one, and we made a handful of mistakes after that, but our game started to come around, and a lot like the Winnipeg game for us, except tonight we were able to capitalize on our chances.
5 goals second period from the Abs. I know Georgie let in 4 tonight, man, but the only one I want back is the Martinook short-sider. That's it. I thought the rest of the goals that went in, I can't really put on the netminder. I thought he was fine. He was good enough to win you the game. It was Forgiev, but it wasn't a bad version of Forgiev, if that makes any sense.
I'll be honest, and this is just my eye. I could be dead wrong. Watching Alexander Georgiev tonight, and I was surprised he got the nod because he started in Winnipeg, and he was good. It was his best start of the year, and he had his best save of the year, a couple of his best saves. Had some good saves tonight, but I thought they'd go back to Onanen tonight. I think Onanen looks better in net. I didn't love it. Every time Georgiev moves, I'm not seeing the same fluidity and smoothness that I see from Justus Onanen. I'm not. I thought it was interesting that they went back to him tonight. Maybe there's a hope still because he's the veteran that he can reassume the mantle, and on paper he gives you a better chance, a more established goalie than a youngster still finding his way. But I tell you what, man, Justus, his fundamentals are better. He's a better pure goalie. He's more raw, but I feel a chaos when Georgiev is in net.
I didn't feel that tonight.
Cannot. I still felt it. Watching his
not at
movements
all.
and comparing him to how I thought Onanen would move in comparison, I don't know if he's the 1A right now. I think this was a thing tonight for the Avalanche to try to force him as the 1A. I'm not sure that's what this is.
No, that's not it. No, you're reading too much into it. He played a great game against Winnipeg at 1-0, deserved a win. This wasn't forcing a 1-0. This was finding this was playing the hot hand. This is what we wanted the team to do all the time, play the hot hand.
Yes. But has Justus done anything to lose what I had viewed as him being the 1A? Justus hasn't had a bad start in his since the first couple relief appearances. All of his starts have been good. I get riding the hot hand, but if you got a 1 who's had some good starts, but then inevitably your 2 is going to start and he has a good start, teams are still going back to their 1. If I'm just eyeball test grading Georgiev tonight, and like I said, you can disagree with me if you want. Everyone's grade and eye for goalies is going to be a little different. I did not love the movements of Alexander Georgiev tonight.
Let's go back to Ball Arena. Standing by is Darren McKee. D-Mac, what's up, brother?
What's up, boys? Gorgie gives me a heart attack, and we're back to defending Gorgie by Bednar. We were away from that a little.
He was fine.
Okay.
Outside of the first Martinook goal, he was fine.
Okay. It's whatever. It's just a train wreck with him out there. The team's a train wreck with him out there. I don't know. It's weird.
What,
I don't know how else to put it.
You weren't a fan of the second period?
I was a fan of the second period because Cale Makar just switched a light switch. I was like, let's go. I mean, that was insane. 5 goals, 7 total goals in that period. Cale's wearing the big goofy hat. That's what he got to do today. But he deserved it. By the way, this was I get it, Malinsky got a goal today, which is cool. But this is a big star game. You realize that, right? This is a big gun game tonight. That's what they needed. That's what they got. Well, and Gorgie's hanging on for dear life in there. Springer's right on that.
Well, Springer and I, we see differently on the goaltending tonight, not overall, just tonight. and I know you were in the room and with Bednar earlier, but we started off the show talking about that's the difference between Carolina and Colorado. Carolina is a bona fide year in and year out Eastern Conference competitor.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the guy. Like, tell me the guy that's going to change a game for them. Sure. Do they have one of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL and Jacob Slavin? Yes, they do. I love Jake. He's a great hockey player, but they don't have Mikko Rantanen. They don't have Cale Makar. They don't have Nathan McKinnon. And as a result, they don't have the guy to put them over the top. And Colorado had 3 dudes who did that tonight, not just one.
Yeah, but still, you're making it sound like, you beat the Sisters of the Poor here tonight, Raj. I mean, that's a pretty damn good win, don't you think?
It's a great win.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic win. What I'm saying is that, like, when that's the difference between perennial Eastern Conference contender and Stanley Cup championship favorite.
By the way, I'll agree with you, though, because the Avs got, like, the manliest of man goals when McKinnon just takes the puck away and just was like, up yours. It's my puck. It's my goal. I'm going to stick it up your butt. Here you go. And Bezzy pointed that out, too. That's what we have. That is what the Avs have. They got a dude like that, a dude who can do that, a dude who can just take a 4-point night, right? 4-point night for McKinnon, I think. 4. It's
Yep.
crazy. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah,
So good win. I thought they were going to lose for sure after being down, it's like, are we ever going to score a goal? I mean, it went 10 minutes into the game. They didn't have a shot on net. I was like, yeah, you got to be kidding me. But, explosion in the second, then not so much in the third, but enough, right? You got the empty netter. You're good.
Yeah, I tweeted before the show that the Avs are the best 7-8-0 team in NHL history. And it's because they have McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen, Middlestad's awesome, Lekkonen's awesome. And, when they were down 2-0, if they were fully healthy, Saturday night, Ball Arena, not a doubt in my mind that they get back in that game. Now, with everyone out, yeah, like I for a second there, I was with you, D-Mac. I'm thinking, I don't know. But they do it. They come back against a very good Eastern Conference team. So it's just another one of those nights where you imagine, if everyone was healthy, they'd probably win this game by 4 goals tonight. And that's a very good Eastern Conference team.
Yeah, maybe. And good vibes in the locker room afterwards, which is nice to see and feel. And Bednar says, well, this is why we don't practice that much anymore, because everybody is gassed out during the games. They don't. Do you guys know that? They really don't do morning skates. They really don't practice. Not really.
Optional. They're all optional.
It's a little bit of a change from years past because it is full gas, guys. Game in, game out for the heavy hitters. And they're really, you know what? I wonder if a little bit of last year in the past couple of years, exhaustion at the end, and they're trying to sort of say, listen, we're good. We don't need to overextend ourselves. So much different than in years past, the lack of mandatory practices and morning skates, just totally different than what it's been. But I mean, look, I thought the energy was pretty good out there tonight for sure.
Here's the energy in the locker room from Cale Makar.
After the first, for you to come out and just explosive in the second.
I think we just saw kind of what we could expose overall. I mean, it's kind of been our MO lately, a little bit of slow start. We got to focus on that and fix it. But at the same time, we were able to regroup in the second period and learn from some of the stuff that we did in the first.
What do shorthanded goals do for the energy of the team?
I mean, they're fun. I mean, they're obviously down a man on the ice, so they're fun.
Yeah, Cale's just a bundle of fun and energy. D-Mac, huh?
There's nothing funnier than a guy with no emotion talking about how fun something is without a smile, wearing a big fucking goofy hat. It's the absolute best.
There were other things that we opened up the show with, and I tweeted it out tonight. A line rush clapper will never not be like the fucking coolest thing in hockey. And Cale's like, I just shot the puck, man.
But by the way, they're going to give a run for the money between boring guys answering questions with big hats on between Makar and Lekkonen. We are in a run for our money with who can give a more boring answer wearing the big hat.
Oh,
Lecky's in the lead by a little bit.
You got to put McKinnon in that conversation. He's like the antithesis of that big hat. Yeah, and Kel McCarr, how about the reverse hit that he lays on Svechnikov tonight? I mean, that's look, he always it's offense with Kel. Everyone praises his offense. He's an underrated defenseman. You don't want him to get hurt, but as a defenseman, you got to throw the body around. And man, that was a sturdy frame on that reverse hit.
Yeah, I mean, Kale's great. I mean, Raj, you're not wrong. I mean, when Mikko's on his game too, I mean, that's 3 of the top 15 guys in the world. Nichushkin can be top 20. We'll see, top 10. I don't know when he comes back. By the way, I saw Wood walking around. He's got to be coming back soon. I'm not exactly sure where he's at, but I saw him toothless walking around behind the scenes. So I'm going to guess he's close to coming back. So that's good. And Val's back next
How messed
week.
up is it that Miles Wood, like, you don't know whether or not he's more attractive with teeth or without teeth? It's ridiculous. Like, what a genetic lottery for that dude to win. Son of a bitch.
Raj, it's up to different strokes for different folks, Raj. Whatever your preference is, whatever you need on a cold night.
It's a good thing he's missing those teeth. I don't need the competition. Okay, get those teeth out of there. But no, like Miles Wood being back next week would add up. It was like 7 to 10 days. I know they put him on IR, but next week is about 7 to 10 days. Drouin could be back next week, and then I'm 99% sure that Friday the 15th, we are less than a week away. Like that we are within the week. It is
crazy.
This Friday that I believe Valeri Nichushkin is eligible to return.
That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome at this point. What are we fighting now? So good, right? We're beyond all that other stuff, right? So awesome. Glad to hear.
Keep the good vibes up. That's all I care about. It's been an awesome 24 hours in Denver sports, and I mean, the hope is that the Broncos don't screw it up tomorrow, because then you and Coach Sanford look like goofballs.
Well, we're gonna win, and we're gonna be doing victory laps in our pajamas, maybe a thong. I don't know. It's gonna be awesome. But hey, listen, man, it's been good. It's been good for the Nuggets, good for CU. CSU didn't play. Good for the Avs. We got Dallas here tomorrow night after a big Broncos win. Are you kidding me?
Dallas
pretty good. And we got
Nashville on Monday.
We got a nice homestand here too. This is the first 4 games here for the Avs this week. So what do you guys want? A question for you guys. How many points do you want out of this homestand? 8 possible points. What do you want?
So they've already got 2 right now, obviously, with the win tonight. They've got Nashville, LA, and Washington. I think you need 6 out of the 8.
Wow. Okay.
I agree. And this was the toughest one tonight. This was the toughest opponent coming in. The Kings are the second toughest, and that'll be a nationally televised game Wednesday night on TNT. I thought they were the better team in Nashville, so I think they beat Nashville now at home. And then, hey, look, it'll be fun seeing Ovechkin come to town, but that's Friday night. That could be Nichushkin's return. I'm excited to see that big Russian come to Ball Arena. I'm hoping our big Russian's back too.
That sounds good. Big fat Ovi. We'll see how he does. Big fat gray Ovi.
Before you leave tonight, I think you need to shoulder tap someone, see if there's an apartment that you can sleep at for the remainder of the week. You're going to be at Ball Arena yesterday, tonight, tomorrow, Tuesday night for the gala, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night.
Raj showing in the gala. Look at that.
I'm going to the gala. I'll be there.
Spring, you going to the gala?
I plan on attending the gala. Yes.
Let's go,
boys.
Let's go. We can't wait to see everybody get out of here.
I'll take off for now. You guys can keep talking, but we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, buddy. See ya. Darren McKee, live from Ball Arena, our guest there. It's a packed out week at Ball Arena, man. Just
hey, when the Kings come to town on Wednesday, and that will be, that's right up there with Carolina tonight. Darcy Kemper healthy? He should be starting that game, I'd imagine,
Darcy Kemper is healthy. Yes.
Yeah, he should be starting that, and he's allowed a handful of goals this season, if I'm not mistaken. So go beat Darcy Kemper. That's something that is doable.
LA is a team that. They perplex me. I don't know why they're not better than they are, but for some reason, they're not a great matchup against the Avs.
No, the Avs struggled out west, but when the King, that was years ago. They've been better out there of late, and when the Kings come to Ball Arena, I imagine if we looked at the head-to-head of late, the Avs are doing pretty well. They're a lot like Carolina. They don't, and a lot of teams suffer from this. They just don't have superstars. The biggest superstar coming to Ball Arena this week. In fact, the two biggest superstars, count tonight, this 4-game homestand, the two biggest superstars you will see this week are oldies. Ovi in the finale and Stamkos on Monday night.
Dude, Ovi's on fire.
Yeah, the pace I saw of the goals he's scoring this year is like through however many games Washington has played so far is far out exceeding what he did last year.
I think he only needs 32 to break Gretzky by the end of the season. He scored another 2 tonight. Like Washington won 8-1 this evening. He scored another 2 tonight. He needs 32. I think he's on pace for like 40 or 45 this year, something crazy like that. The guy's 38 years old. It's nuts.
What will Nathan McKinnon be doing at 38 years old? He's very Ovi-esque, actually.
I think he'll still be playing. I don't do 45 goals as a 38-year-old. How many? I don't know what the record is. There can't be a lot of 45 goal scorers that old.
Because he still has such a rocket. Like the Cale Makar slap shot rocket we saw. Now that's Cale, coming into the zone already with some momentum going forward. Ovi is so stationary. He's just a big lug who's just kind of chilling there. But when he winds up and fires that thing, that's one of the greatest cannons in NHL history.
Crosby scored 42 last year at age 36. Brendan Shanahan had 40 at age 37. 2 years ago at age 37, Ovechkin scored 42. The oldest player in National Hockey League history was in the 1968-69 season with the Detroit Red Wings at age 40. The great Gordie Howe scored 44 in that season.
That's going to be fun, and that might be. We'll see when the NHL clears him, but Friday night could be Nichushkin's return.
Yeah, I think
it's surreal. Isn't it kind of surreal that the week is here?
It is surreal that it happened that quick, Spring. It felt like it was so far away at the beginning of the season. It felt like it was so far away during training camp. It felt like it was like Nichushkin coming back was the playoffs. That's how far away it felt. And it came back like that. It felt so far away that I went this far as to say that I thought Gabriel Landeskog was going to play a game before Valeri Nichushkin. That's how far away it felt.
When you hear, because this was always what it was going to be, it was the 6-month suspension. So even back then it was like, oh, that puts him on track to be back about mid-November. It's just like a month into the season. It's just 1 month of this long slog, but you get in it. You're under 500, albeit by a game. It feels like it's forever. But it's really just a month and a week. The NHL season starts in early October, and Nichushkin's back. And, man, he's a heck of a player. But this time around, there was a sense of surprise. I would say an overwhelming sense of surprise. The overall feeling was surprise. By the majority when he was out again in the playoffs, even though it's one of those, then it happens and you can look back on it and say, oh, I guess I'm not surprised. But at the time, we were surprised. Surely that won't happen again. This time around, I don't know. Will we forget about it? Let's say he makes it 3 weeks, and will it be will we just kind of go into that default he's going to be around, or is there going to be a sense of every day, 6 o'clock comes and puck drops at 7, you're just checking Twitter?
I will not think about it again until it happens. If it happens again, that will be the first time that I think about it.
I'm gonna think about it.
Maybe when the playoffs come around, I'm gonna question it, but I will not for a second have that in the back of my mind until, if it does happen again, it happens. I'm forcing myself to take the player as a player and take him being on the ice and being in the lineup as a cherry on top right now. That's the only way that I can get through this season. And I think it's the only way that the team and the locker room can get through the season is, you know what? He's here. That's all we can think about, because if we allow all of that negativity and that demon behind us to fester, then it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem if Val has defeated those demons or is actively working to keep those at bay to the point where he does not fall back into the player assistance program. If his teammates are expecting the other shoe to drop, that is equally as dangerous as Val possibly falling back into his former vices. You can't have that fester in a locker room. So I think the mindset from the team is he's here. We're not even thinking about it. And if it happens again, that's what you do. It has to be an A or a B situation. It's binary right now. You can't mix and meld it. It's he's here or he's not.
Well, we are less than a week away from having that McKinnon, Rantanen, Drouin top line, and the Middlestat, Lehkonen, Middlestat, Lehkonen, Nichushkin second line, and it's going to be so fun to watch. It's going to be so dangerous, and especially if Gabe Landeskog is not coming back. Now, who knows? I don't know. Bednar downplayed the significant setback this week on our radio station, but if Landeskog's not coming back, then Nichushkin can't screw up. He cannot.
That's true.
Because without Landeskog, you need, with a capital N, Nichushkin.
If you do find out that Gabe can't play before early March, do you call up Kyle Dubas in Pittsburgh and go, because Pittsburgh sucks. Let's be completely honest. Like, despite Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin playing out of their minds in their late 30s, and both of those guys look phenomenal right now. Phenomenal. Erik Karlsson and Chris Letang suck. The goaltending in Pittsburgh is atrocious. They played this young kid, Blomqvist, last night who stole them the game. But the goaltending in general is awful. They're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference right now. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs unless Sid just drags them by the scruff of their neck to the finish line. If Pittsburgh is so far out of it, despite Sid re-signing this offseason, I think if you get the word that Gabe is gone, I would call Kyle Dubas once an hour every goddamn day and just be like, because that's the one thing you have to wonder whether or not Crosby is. Are you committed to being the face of the franchise? Because you're already the face of the National Hockey League, and you have done everything that was asked of you as a 12-year-old prodigy. You have not only met expectation, you have exceeded it tenfold. Crosby's a top 5 player of all time. And it happened that he came into the league at the same time as the greatest goal scorer of all time. And I am rooting for Alexander Ovechkin not only to break Gretzky's record, but find a way to be the first goal scorer to get to 900 in NHL history. I hope he does it. He's great. He stays healthy. He's fun. He makes the game great. He's a psychopath. I love the dude. I love both of those players. But I don't think Ovi has the same drive to win now because he's already done it, right? Like Ovi's won. He got his cup just like Sid has. And I think Ovi is just in the league right now. He's still stateside because he just has a record to break. If he didn't have a record to break, that dude would be back in Russia 3 years ago. I don't think the same thing happens with Sidney Crosby. I think Crosby, if the Penguins suck as bad as they do right now, I think he's going to go like, I still have 4 more 90-point seasons in me. Get me with Nathan McKinnon.
Well, I mean, that possibility, reopens, that door reopens if Landeskog's not back this year, because they can use the $7 million that they've been allotting, within their cap numbers right now for Landeskog to return. Well, then it becomes available if he's not coming back. And it makes all the sense in the world, but I will say, if you ask me, and I mean this, would you rather get Crosby or have Landeskog come back? Now, who's the better player? It's Sidney Crosby, okay?
What version of Landy are you getting?
I mean, Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest players of all time.
I think Sid is the better. If Gabe comes back and Gabe is exactly who he was, which is a bona fide top 10 winger in the league, right? Probably 15 at the worst. It's still probably, and I'm such a Sid guy, man. Like, that's such a hard question to ask me to be.
But I would rather get Gabe back. I really would. Just what he means to this franchise.
Younger.
And if Nichushkin keeps his head, if the injuries don't persist, you're filled. You are the lines are filled still. So the emotional jolt of what it would mean to get the captain back, I will take that every day. And speaking of that, hey, I want to bring this up, Raj, because it was Hockey Fights Cancer night tonight, and I just want to we should mention Peter McNabb, just because he was awesome. He's the man. There was not a bigger Gabe Landeskog fan on earth than Peter McNabb. I'll never forget. I bring this story up all the time. When we were doing that Avs draft party the summer that Landeskog was a free agent, and there's debate. Do they have the money? Can they afford Gabe? Should they look to fill this or that position elsewhere? And Peter's just like, nope, you have got to bring the captain back. And he was dead right, because this was before they win the cup, and then they go on to win the cup. And Peter McNabb, just one of the coolest, nicest dudes ever. So love that the Avs got a win on Hockey Fights Cancer night in Peter's building. Just got to mention him on a night like tonight.
Yeah, and the fact that you get that final interview, it was the final true interview of Pete's career when he was in the throes of cancer. That was the one after they won the cup with Landy, and there was nothing better than that. I'll play it for you.
Went up and oh my gosh, and McKinnon comes up with the best game of the playoffs. Lackinen, I mean, that trade made by Joe at that time was a big trade, and it turned out to be a fantastic one. Nate, it just, it was so. We're just this fool here. Mr. Landeskog, as I said, they weren't winning without you, and I thank you for the joy that you've given us this year and all through the years. You have to be crazy happy.
Did you know, growing up when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, I had the Stanley Cup winning picture of the Colorado Avalanche from 2001 in my room as a poster until I was a teenager and I moved to Canada. And I said, when I got drafted, I said, my dream, my goal is to be in that picture wearing this jersey.
And guess what?
Isn't that full circle? I don't know what fucking is full circle.
But I'll tell you, the group picture when the cup was, you dropped the cup.
Oh my God.
Oh, me. I know. So there were just all of these little moments have gone into it. And, again, as I said, it's the way that they've interacted, the way they passed the cup. I laughed. Mr. Johnson, Eric's dad, stopped by, and somebody said, "Who was Gabe going to hand the cup to?" And I said, "Are you crazy? There's only one guy he's going to hand the cup to, and that's EJ." And that's exactly what happened. And this team, it all came together. The Cogliano and everything worked so beautifully for this hockey club. They were the best team from the beginning. They were the best team at the end. I was laughing with Cale Makar. I'm sure you guys remember it, but that puck was shot into the corner with about 8 seconds to go. I've never seen Cale skate so fast. He was in that puck was not coming out of the zone. It was not about to do that. It was, and then he's the MVP. And, it just goes on, and the story will be written, and the story will get richer and richer. The parade. I mean, every single one of these guys knows that Colorado is waiting for him. Colorado is waiting for him, and fans, you are loving a really, really good team. But more importantly, guys, as you well know, a really good group of guys. So, yeah, this one maybe had a little different feel for sure.
The voice of Peter McNabb, the late, great Pete. Yeah, it's spring. It's fitting to hear from that guy today. We miss him, all of us here at Altitude Sports Radio and Altitude Television. There was there was no one better, man. And to have him taken far too early from all of us and certainly from his family, that's a guy who made the game more inclusive. He was the voice of the Avalanche from the time that they got back here in Colorado from Quebec up until the day that he passed. And he fought through it well past the point that he should have been coming back to the rink. And it was just such a part of him that you couldn't rip it apart. You couldn't take it from his fingers. And honestly, it was going to be, the disease was going to take him away before he took himself out of the game. And I'll miss him every day.
Yeah, shout out to Pierre Lacroix. I didn't quite realize, I was young at the time, but, you read the stories now. Pierre Lacroix, when the Avs come to Denver, says, I need Peter McNabb as the color commentator for this hockey team that's coming to Colorado. And it was an excellent choice. And, for him, he's there from the beginning. And you talk about culture, and he's the color commentator, but he's around everyone every day. And the way he carries himself, the way he treats others, it has to resonate. And there's got to be a trickle-down effect to, his personality, his demeanor, his spirit, to the way that a guy like Landeskog carries himself, and Makar carries himself, and Bednar, and the whole Joe Sakic, the whole organization. Like, good breeds good. No one, you will not hear anyone ever say a bad word about Peter McNabb. The story does not exist. Shout out to Mark Rycroft too, taking over for Peter in, that's a tough situation.
Yeah,
Peter is
impossible shoes to fill.
Impossible shoes to fill. Peter is like, and I love all the sports, and Peter is my favorite color commentator of all time, growing up here, and just the longevity of him. Scott Hastings is great too, but there's just something about Peter. Just like, so warm, felt so, even just watching through the television. And I think Mark Rycroft has done a great job taking over for him. But yeah, Peter McNabb, and man, what a great video to watch. That's one of the best interviews of all time right there.
Unbelievable. And again, you can hear him, you hear him struggling through. He's in the middle of treatments when that interview is happening, when that cup final is going on. You can obviously see it on his face and in how it's attacked his body, but he was there. I wasn't going to let him stop, or wasn't going to let that rather stop him. And I think the fellas, especially Gabe, knew how impactful that was to him at that moment in his life. We will miss him all the time, and I know the guys do. Riker and Moj and Connor, just to name a few. He's the man, the absolute man, and we do continue to miss him. I do love Hockey Fights Cancer Month around the league. It's touching to see those tributes. It's meaningful. I hope they never do away with it, Spring. I really don't. Before we get out of here, Spring, let's take a look at some of the scores around the National Hockey League tonight. As we always do, 12 games this evening, including the Avs 6-4 win over the Carolina Hurricanes. The Kings, who come to town this week on Wednesday, if I'm correct. Wednesday evening, late game, 8 p.m. game against the Kings, get a 5-2 victory over the Blue Jackets this evening. Gavrikov gets his second. Trevor Moore scores a shorthanded one tonight. Alex Laferriere's got 9 goals. That's the guy that I'm nervous about on Wednesday night.
Remember, it was last year. It was the season opener in Los Angeles, and the Avs won that game. And they won like their first several. It was one of the best starts in franchise history. But that game was on ESPN, and Laferriere was a rookie, and he's like kind of a success story for them. Wasn't like the highest draft pick or anything like that. I could look it up, but he was, he was like a mid-round guy or something like that. But he was, if it wasn't his debut, it was close to it. It might have been his debut, and ESPN was just talking this kind of more random prospect up. I remember some Avalanche fans were upset, like, why are you spending so much time on this Laferriere character? He had a good game, and he is becoming, you got to develop young guys. and that could be a little bit of a success story for the Kings. So we'll see him again on Wednesday night.
The Oilers get a 7-3 victory on the road at the Canucks. They get a 3-point evening from Connor McDavid, who, again, was expected to miss like 3 weeks. He missed 9 or 10 days or something like that. Leon Draisaitl opened up the scoring with his 10th of the season. He's got points in 13 straight road games for the Oilers. The Predators get a much-needed win at home. They shut out the Utah Hockey Club, and I think it matters more of how they beat Utah, not necessarily that they just got the 2 points. I know that Barry Trotz came out and was like, hey, listen, if we keep losing, I have to hit the reset button. I have to rebuild. Nashville hasn't been able to keep the puck out of their own net. The fact that they get a shutout here, that's really good for them. I still think they lose to the Avs on Monday.
I do too. The Avs were the better team in Nashville. Now they're at ball. Maybe Drouin is playing on Monday night. Maybe Miles Wood is playing on Monday night. But that really is a game because Carolina's a better team than Nashville, where they don't need it. They actually don't need it. You can beat Nashville, and I'm very confident in that with what they have right now.
Jack Hughes has a multi-point game, 3 points this evening for the New Jersey Devils. They skate past the Islanders by a score of 4-3. Also, Saros, 18 career shutouts now for the Nashville Predators. He trails Pecorine by, a whopping 26 more shutouts he needs to get for the Nashville record. 4-3 is the final between New Jersey and the Islanders. As I mentioned earlier, the Capitals get a 2-goal performance from Alexander Ovechkin. They beat the Blues 8-1. 8-1 is the final between St. Louis and Washington. Washington, I still feel like, is outkicking their coverage. St. Louis is exactly who I thought they were going to be. It's a team that's struggling, and it was not a great night for Jordan Binnington. He gets let in for all 8 goals against. 8 goals against on just 27 shots.
Yeah, it's a good thing that the Avs aren't going to need to break that Jordan Binnington emergency trade scenario that would have everyone losing their damn minds.
My favorite thing I've ever done.
Hey, look, I know. I loved it. And he is a candidate to get moved at some point as he begins to near the end of his contract. Washington coming in at the end of this homestand, and it's funny because the Avs could be as loaded as they've been all season in that game. And yes, I think Washington's outkicking their coverage, but there's some sneaky aspects to that team. Bringing in Logan Thompson, formerly with the Golden Knights, he's undefeated this season, I believe. He's like 7-0-0, but he's undefeated, and he won again tonight. And he was a sneaky out of nowhere dude for the Golden Knights, and it's carried over a little bit. Let's see here. Yeah, he's 7-0-0 this season. So he's an underrated goaltender, so they got that going for him. They got Jacob Chikrin on their team now. He got a sneaky addition on the blue line. Pierre-Luc Dubois as a sneaky addition. Andrew Mangiapane, sneaky addition. So you look at their lineup and actually, okay, they put around aging Ovi actually a somewhat decent roster around him. Like, they've done a little bit better job of that than Pittsburgh has with Crosby.
Well, because Pittsburgh fell into you've won 3 cups, therefore you get to sign whatever deal you want with us to stay here. And in Washington, granted, Washington may have had this forced upon them with the Nicholas Backstrom injury that ended his career. And had that not happened, maybe you would have. And not to mention like Evgeny Kuznetsov getting out of the league and having a problem off the ice, right? So those 2 things, I think, forced Washington to go a different direction than what Pittsburgh's doing right now. Had those 2 on-ice injury and then off-ice happenings with Kuznetsov not coincide at the same time, I think both of those teams would be running parallel lines. And it ended up being a blessing in disguise that Backstrom gets hurt, can't continue to play. Kuznetsov can't keep, his face out of the mud, for lack of a better term, off the ice, and basically plays his way out of the league. It's helping Ovi extend his career and extend his winning window. It's a great point that you bring up, but also you didn't say Mangiapane, right? Try it again.
Mangiapane.
Thank you. I
Yes.
was going to be upset.
I realized my error as soon as I said that name. I was like, missed opportunity.
Rangers shut out the Red Wings 4-0. The Maple Leafs get an 8th goal of the year from Jonathan Tavares. Watch out for Toronto if Tavares plays up to his money. It's going to be tough because he makes like $11 million a year, but they get a 4-1 victory at home over the Montreal Canadiens. The Senators and Bruins showed up tonight. This is Linus Ullmark versus his buddy Jeremy Swayman. Ullmark gets the best of him. Senators get a 3-2 overtime win thanks to an overtime winner just 21 seconds in from Captain Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, it was fun to see. I know it's the Bruins, but when Ullmark and Swayman played together, they were like the broiest of bros. Like the two most supportive of each other goaltenders in the league, like hug each other all the time, support each other. And so before the game, they dapped up. It was fun to see. And I'm glad to see the veteran Ullmark, who hasn't been that great for Ottawa. But I was glad to see him get the win. And Boston, they're not the mighty regular season Bruins anymore.
Nope.
There hasn't been an evolution to that team. Like replay that Bruins Avs game from a few weeks ago in a couple months, and the Avs just destroy that team.
The Sabres, coming off of a shellacking of the Rangers 6-1 the other night, find a way to get a 3-2 victory this evening at home in the shootout over the Calgary Flames. So Buffalo starting to right the ship when they need to. And the Winnipeg Jets, they become the first team in National Hockey League history to win at least 14 of its first 15 games in a season. They beat the Dallas Stars this evening. They stay red hot. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, man. They just don't stop scoring, and they found a way to beat the Avs 2 nights ago in a 1-0 shutout. They beat a damn good team tonight in Dallas at home 4-1. They're getting contributions up and down the lineup. It's gonna end soon. Like at one point, they're gonna hit a little bit of a skid. They're gonna lose 4 or 5 or something like that. But they look like a juggernaut spring.
And Dallas, they're in a weird one right now. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, but they started in Finland. They got swept by Florida in Finland. They didn't look great in Finland. Then they came home, and I know Florida's very good, but I thought the Stars were a little disappointing there. And then they come home, and it's a 1-goal game late against the Blackhawks at home. And then tonight, they get raced pretty much in Winnipeg. I think Dallas is struggling a little right now too. That was favorable for Winnipeg today. Did you see that in Winnipeg at Jake Ottinger, they were chanting, I think it was US backup? US backup.
I mean, yep.
Because Hellebuck is just a little more advanced than Jake Ottinger right now, 2 US goalies.
I mean, the projected U.S. goalies for this Four Nations Cup they've got a ridiculous stable of goaltenders. Like there's going to be one really, really good netminder left off of that team because you're only going to take 3. Hellebuck's number 1, Ottinger's probably number 2, and is number 3 either Jeremy Swayman? Is it Thatcher Demko? Like this is in the age of there isn't a. Well, I don't know. Is Shesterkin playing his way into the elite goalie? Like, is he Vasilevsky right now? He might be.
In a way.
But in a world in which there's not really that separation, there's not the tier of Hasek, Waugh, Brodeur. That's certainly not happening right now. Is it the age of the American goaltender?
That's very interesting. And yeah, so how is the Four Nations going to work? What are our Four Nations, Raj? Be my Four Nations explainer, please.
Your Four Nations are Canada, the United States of America, Finland, and Sweden. Those are your 4 nations that are playing against each other in lieu of the All-Star game this year. So you get I'll pull up the schedule right now. Four Nations face-off takes place February 12th through the 20th between those four aforementioned nations. They're going to be playing games in Montreal and Boston. And I believe that you have round robin plays between all of those teams. And then you move into a championship game in Boston on February 20th. They were thinking about making it a 5-team tournament, but what's happening between Russia and Ukraine has forced them to keep Russia out of international tournaments. But you'll see all of those teams playing. The Avs are going to have a bunch of players in those games.
Dude, the takes are going to fly. And and I say takes, the take. You know what the take is going to be, right?
Why should they be playing?
Yes. Like, heaven forbid Nathan MacKinnon gets hurt in the Four Nations Cup.
Well, the other thing that I'm kind of looking at too is it's a few games, right? But the players have been begging for best on best international hockey. The last time they got it was in the off season, right? The last time that they had the World Cup when McKinnon had that crazy goal against Henrik Lundqvist as part of Team North America, a bunch of guys who I believe were under 20 something, 22, 20. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. That was in the offseason. This is in the middle of the year. I'd be looking at teams that are Russian heavy or like Czech heavy. Like Tampa Bay just gets to sit Nikita Kucherov and Andrei Vasilevsky for a week in the middle of the season to like get rested and healthy for a playoff push. Meanwhile, the Avs are going to have Rantanen, Lehkonen, Onanen, maybe Onanen, McKinnon, Taves, Makar, Landeskog, maybe. Who else? 7 players I've already rattled off.
Yeah, I think that would be the list.
That's insane.
Yeah, with all the injuries that they have sustained, earlier or had sustained earlier in the year, that's going to be the takes will fly on that one. I can see them. I can hear them now.
Yeah, it's nuts to me, man. All right, one other game tonight was a 4-3 shootout win for the Panthers. They come from behind to beat the Philadelphia Flyers 4-3 this evening. Nifty little like one-hand fire poker shootout move from Sasha Barkov, who's the best shootout player on the planet, and it's not even close. He just goes forehand, little dangle, pushes onto his backhand, lifts it like 18 inches off the ice and scores on Sam Ersson because he's a freak.
They had a stat on the broadcast tonight. Did I read this right? Like, was it goals per game or points per game of Finnish-born players? And Rantanen was like well ahead of Barkov. I was a little surprised by that. Sneaky, underrated Mikko. I'll need to find that stat. I'm trying to find it right now, but believe I saw that on the broadcast tonight. Hey, Team Finland, Barkov, Rantanen, Lehkonen. Oh, boy.
Let me look at points. I don't know if I can find points per game off the top of my head or off the top of like a list right now. Points per games played, goals per game, points per game. Finnish-born players. Jari Kurri, 1.118. Mikko Rantanen, 1.089. Teemu Selanne, 1.004. Sasha Barkov, 0.972.
Mikko Rantanen, best Finnish player in the league right now? Better than Barkov?
Yes. Yeah, I think Mikko's
Barkov's
the best.
so good, too.
Barkov is the better two-way player.
Sure.
But Mikko's the better scorer, and it's not close on that end. But Barkov is the better defender, and it's not close on that end either. Also, Barkov plays a premium position, and Mikko doesn't.
That's
Mikko's
fair.
a winger, Sasha's a center.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it for us. We've gone over an hour tonight, man, on a Saturday night game. I think it's ready for us to sign off.
Yeah, it was a good one. That's deserved. You know, we've had some ones recently, like Winnipeg on Thursday night. The Nashville one recently. You're undermanned. You're on the road. It is what it is. Saturday night, good opponent at home. You're as healthy as you can be, And this one tonight, given it was Carolina and it was your best win, this was our best win of the season. We go over an hour for you guys.
That'll do it for us tonight. For Mark Springer, for DMAC, who joined us from Ball Arena, I'm Alex Ryan Emmy. This has been Between the Pipes, presented by Safeway on Altitude Sports Radio's X, Twitch, YouTube channel. We'll be back on Monday evening following the Avs and the Nashville Predators. That tips off. Puck drop is at 7 p.m., 6:30 pregame show. You can hear it locally on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We'll be right around 10 p.m. or so on Monday night. Second game of a 4-game homestand as the Avs look to get back to 500. I think they need 6 out of a possible 8 on this homestand to consider it a success. Possible return of Jonathan Drouin on Monday. Valerian Achushin is coming back just 6 days from right now. But enjoy your Sunday. Go Broncos. Hopefully they can find a way to make DMAC and Coach Sanford and Brett Kane look like geniuses, and all of us have egg on our faces come Monday morning. But for Spring, I'm Raj. We'll see you guys later.